Hi, everybody. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Maren Sprunger, and I'm going to be talking about Lions Quest, what this program is, and my proposed evaluation for Lions Quest. All right, so my program description. Lions Quest Skills for Adolescents is a social emotional learning curriculum for students in grades 6 through 8. So your middle schoolers, your 11, 12, 13, sometimes 14-year-olds. This program aims to help students learn social, emotional, and life skills for their futures. It also is evidence-based, and it has evidence-based instruction and curriculum that lasts 9 weeks. So if you only want to incorporate the curriculum for 9 weeks, up to 3 years. So a school can choose to implement this for 3 full years, all through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, depending on the school's choice for implementation. The program curriculum includes teacher professional development, student activities, and service learning opportunities. Just to make this a little bit more personal than I know it's just kind of like a presentation, but I did want to say why I chose this program. Over this summer, I lost one of my students to suicide, and it was really hard, kind of thinking, okay, what could I have done? What could my school have done? So when I chose at the beginning of this class, when I chose a program, I wanted one that highlighted social emotional development, focusing on those coping mechanisms and skills that can help emotional processing, so that students who are feeling lost can hopefully have some outlets and things like that. So that's why I chose this program. All right, need for programs such as Lions Quest. So Lions Quest has actually been around since 1975, so it's tried and true. It's developed due to a need for social emotional learning at the adolescent level. It's actually been used in 30 plus countries, so over 30 countries worldwide. This is just an excerpt from David S. Yeager. He's a professor. He says, adolescents may especially need social and emotional help. They're learning how to handle new demands in school and social life while dealing with the new intense emotions, both positive and negative. And they're increasingly feeling that they should do so without adult guidance. Social and emotional learning, which is what Lions Quest focuses on, these are programs that are one way to help navigate these difficulties for students. Social emotional programs truly try to help adolescents cope with their difficulties, to be more successful by improving skills, mindsets, and try to recreate respectful school environments that young people want to be a part of by changing the school's climate. So Lions Quest is kind of aiming to change a school's climate by hopefully being implemented by the whole school. So hopefully being implemented by middle school. And I will say Lions Quest does have a program for high school, but I have focused on the middle school curriculum. All right, so the program's goals and objectives: learn life skills. Okay, what the heck does life skills mean? This means a lot of different things. In the form of Lions Quest, we want to learn social emotional processing skills, how to handle social situations, emotions that follow those situations. Health and prevention. It also has opportunities about education for reproductive health, prevention opportunities for when you choose to be sexually active. So it has activities like that. It also helps when fostering leadership skills. It includes service learning opportunities that can be done within the schools. It acts as a behavior intervention tool as well for many schools that implement it, and it aims to create a positive relationship with peers. So here I have a piece of my logic model. I've got my inputs, my outputs. So inputs, where does the money come from? I'm going to talk about that a little bit in one of my next tabs. Human capital, who will be performing the activities? Infrastructure, what do we need? Teachers, middle school students, community members, parents, administrators. So we're kind of seeing who are the stakeholders within implementing this program. Collaboration between district, others, and it's a district investment at the root of it. So the district has to be willing to invest in Lions Quest. You do have to pay for the curriculum. So there's lots of different things that we must consider when implementing a program like this, because money does not just fall on trees, especially teachers know that. Outputs, activities, so teacher resources for social emotional instruction and professional development, community involvement and service learning opportunities. Students receiving lessons is one of the activities, and that's kind of one of the focuses of the evaluation that you'll see. Lessons teaching students skills for development. The participants are going to be your teachers, who are your facilitators that guide the lessons. The district has to invest in the program, get the PD opportunities for teachers to support the curriculum, and then you've got your parents, your students, and your teachers. I will elaborate a little bit more on these in a minute, but we've got our short, medium, and long-term goals or outcomes, intended outcomes for the program. So teachers will become familiarized with SEL resources. There's hopefully going to be some increased parent involvement for students' mental health and well-being. Students will gain access to lessons, resources, opportunities to help social emotional learning. Medium term, teachers access their professional development opportunities to enrich curriculum. Parents and communities are more involved with service learning opportunities to again, try and aiming to change that school climate. Students will increase participation by doing the social emotional learning activities. And then our long-term goals are going to be more of those, what happens when they get to high school? So I know it says 6 to 12 months, but let's just say that Lions Quest happens for 3 years. So it's being implemented all the way through the 8th grade. We're thinking long-term after that, after their freshman year of high school, what does that look like? So our goal is hopefully that teachers are more effective at teaching the SEL content, students have improved emotional and social skills, and students have increased ability to communicate their needs to others. So let me just kind of go over the outcomes a little bit more, kind of a visual representation. Improved emotional skills, that's just the short-term goal. Immediately once we implement Lions Quest, this is what we want to see. Increased self-awareness. So self-awareness and emotional skills aren't actually the same thing. Self-awareness is to be, aware of yourself and what your place looks like in the world, which is actually really difficult for middle schoolers. And then skills for emotional competency in your high school and your long-term life. So the measures that would be taken would be to receive student feedback from surveys about activities. Now, this seems very vague, so I'm going to kind of elaborate on this. We're looking for, when we're talking about these improved emotional skills, we want to hear feedback from students at the end of every week. So we want to say, what was your favorite activity you did? Because within the Lions Quest curriculum, they implement activities every day where they reflect on like a peer counseling type of situation. They reflect on something that's bothering them, something that makes them feel good, resources they have. So improved emotional skills, we're going to measure this by giving them multiple choice surveys, ranking activities, and talking about which activities they found the most beneficial. Intermediate term, so this is going to be increased self-awareness and social skills. We're going to, get student feedback again with these multiple choice surveys, targeting social skills. So we want to especially focus on how do you feel like your social skills are improving? Because again, this is something that really does hinder a lot of adolescents. Long-term teacher interviews, we're going to interview teachers who implemented the Lions Quest program. We're going to talk about the effectiveness of the activities. So these will be in short 10-minute interviews. And student follow-up after first year of high school. So once, the kids who completed Lions Quest in middle school, finish up their first year of high school in the 9th grade, they're going to receive a survey and kind of rank, okay, how do I feel like this program that I went through benefited me in high school? Did it benefit you? Are there any standout activities that I did that made me feel like I was more prepared to deal with said situation? My framework, the intentions for this evaluation are to assess the effectiveness of different Lions Quest activities and their alignment with the original objectives. In order to assess these activities within the curriculum, I intend to implement a pre-test, post-test framework. This evaluation aims to gauge how students' social emotional learning improves or progresses, or, maybe they don't improve. The program's been happening for 30 years, so we're assuming that they're going to improve. But we want to know which activities are really getting to the root of it and benefiting these kids. So in regard to activities, which we can assess by gathering data, and we'll talk about data collection in a second. So my evaluation questions for my evaluation for Lions Quest: how effective are the activities that Lions Quest curriculum is using for students' social emotional learning? And again, we can measure this by getting student feedback weekly via these surveys that we're going to give out to students at the end of every week. In which ways are activities benefiting the students' skills and needs? So are the activities that we're using actually serving the students that the way that they're intended to? Or do we need to kind of reevaluate? Do we need to step back and say, hey, these aren't serving the kids the way they used to? So kind of evaluating which activities are the best or the most effective. How interested and or engaged are students with implemented activities? So are they enjoying Lions Quest? Are they really bored? How can we, because students are, especially adolescents, I teach middle school, they're very self-centered, and that's just a thing. So how interested or engaged are they? And they typically like to talk about themselves and what they need. So how interested and engaged are they with the activities? And are there differences in outcomes depending on which activities are used? So, based on if we use the program for 9 weeks, which is the minimum, or 3 years, is there going to be a difference on outcomes depending on how many activities or the length of activities that we're going to use? My analysis, again, my proposed analysis is comparative pre-test, post-test analysis. So I'm going to be comparing activities that are being implemented 9 weeks with Lions Quest versus 3 years with Lions Quest. So that short-term versus long-term implementation and the long-term effects of that. We're going to use collected data, which I talked about a little bit earlier, to determine the effectiveness of activities by that student input, those surveys that we're giving in the short, intermediate, and long-term, teacher input, those interviews, and perceived outcomes. So what qualitative and quantitative data are we going to receive? So let's look at this. Data collection methods. So I said I was going to get back to this, and I did. Financial. So if we're thinking of financial commitments to implementing this evaluation framework, we will need a team of researchers to monitor the pre and post testing, to conduct and create these surveys and facilitate discussions and interviews with teachers and students. So financially, we will need to make sure that we have money set aside to implement this piece. Infrastructure, I was thinking, make sure we have a middle school who's willing to participate. That's our infrastructure. That's where this is going down. Sample size, I was thinking about observing 2 classes for each. So 2 classes that are using the program in the short term, 9 weeks. So 2 different classes that are using the 9-week program versus 2 classes that are using the full length of the program for 3 years. So comparing that, time frame 4 years, that's going to be about, and that's just the highest amount of time, longest amount of time, excuse me. So 4 years, that would be the freshman year survey. So after the 8th grade, they do their freshman year and say, okay, how emotionally prepared do I feel? And did I feel like these activities benefited me? My participants are going to be 11 to 14-year-old middle school students and teachers as well. Data collection methods continued. Again, my goals are to assess students' understanding of SEL, and interpersonal skills prior to the curriculum implementation via the multiple choice surveys. Through the curriculum implementation, students and teachers are going to collaborate to discuss progress from the program in regard to their activities. So specifically oriented around the activities, because I want to know, are these activities serving the students? Students will provide short feedback on each activity and what they learned and or found beneficial as we aspire to learn which elements of the program activities were most effective. And we will interview teachers in 10 to 15-minute segments and ask for feedback on which activities they felt were beneficial for student growth and development. So this just gives you kind of a glimpse of what kinds of things that I will be asking my researchers to implement and put on the surveys and in the interviews. So things like this. Here are my references, and I really appreciate you guys for listening. Let me know any feedback you might have, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. Thank you, guys.